2.
The German immigrants who came to Texas settled in several areas, especially east central, around Fayette, Washington, and Austin counties, but also in Comal County, founding New Braunfels, and Gillespie County and Fredericksburg in the Hill Country. And they made a significant impact on the architectural heritage of the state. The Ferdinand Lindheimer house in New Braunfels was built sometime in the 1850s. You'll notice that there is no front porch. Most of the times Germans borrowed the Anglo-American front porch to keep cool. But you'll notice as well there are 2 front doors, one into each of the 2 front rooms. Germans abhorred the central passage. They felt it was a waste of space. Here in the Bethke house in New Braunfels, there's a parlor set up with very high style neoclassical furniture, which was very popular in Germany at the time. The scrolled back is very characteristic of the work of Johann Michael Jahn and other high-end German cabinet makers, and even has Germanic features like tenons that run all the way through the back leg. The house of Heinrich and Augusta Kamla is one of the oldest houses in Fredericksburg. Over the years, as their economic progress increased, they were able to add numerous additions of stone in the form that's very characteristic of the Texas Hill Country, culminating with the story-and-a-half rock house of 1869. The Kamla house is a wonderful example of exposed fachwerk in the manner that was typical for Fredericksburg. The framing is exposed and then infilled with limestone rubble brought in from the surrounding hills and given a light coating of plaster. In the second kitchen at the Kamla house, the family dispensed with the fachwerk that had been typical of the earlier part of the house. Instead, the walls are entirely built of stone, and a distinguishing feature is this large raised hearth, which helped alleviate some of the back-breaking labor that any German housewife was expected to do. In the later 19th century, many families moved from Fredericksburg out into the surrounding countryside and set up ranches. Nevertheless, they still had to come into town for shopping, for socializing, and to go to church. Many of these families built houses like this, a Sunday house, 1 or 2 rooms, usually wood framed, that allowed them to live on the ranch most of the time, but to still come in for those important weekends of socializing and religious service. The Klingelhofer house, one of the oldest houses in town, was built in 2 phases. The front part of the house, 1854-55, the lean-to in back built of rock after the Civil War. The exposed fachwerk on the front of the house is a very traditional German technique. Not typical for Germany is the front porch, which was a critical element borrowed from the German pioneers' Anglo neighbors. Traditionally, fachwerk was infilled either with brick or stone. Brick in New Braunfels, stone in Fredericksburg in the Hill Country. In the case of the Klingelhofer house, the infill is adobe brick, suggesting the influence of Mexican building traditions on the German settlers. Toch was a carpenter, cabinet maker, and turner. He turned pieces of wood, and he made many of the distinctive features of his house. The paneled double doors of the front door of the house, the casement windows, which are so characteristic of the German style, and also features like this staircase, which has turned balusters made here on the property in Toch's own shop. There's a common notion that pioneers in Texas, Germans or others, built their own houses, made their own furniture, do-it-yourselfers. When in fact, the Germans who came to Texas included a very large number of carpenters, cabinet makers, and other craftsmen, so that there was a great deal of professional skill in these small communities.